guys for joining us. I'd like to welcome you to the final installment of the spring semester for the Educate and Elevate workshop series. On today, we're going to have a conversation as it pertains to financial aid, scholarships, and the FAFSA. And so I found that these workshops are most beneficial for parents, for junior, senior high school students, and then college students, no matter where you are in your matriculation of your degree. And so we hold these workshops as a means to educate and elevate you so that you are able to better succeed in your future. My name is Kiera Potts, and I am the president of the Potts Foundation. And so I am not hosting today's workshop. I have the pleasure of sitting back as Ms. Dominique Capard hosts the workshop today. And so I'm going to turn everything over to her.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kiera. So super excited to have the opportunity to host this evening's workshop. Like Pot said, or Kiera said, this is something that we find to be vitally important to young adults, to those who are moving from high school to college, and those that are even currently in college, just providing insight and information and getting expertise from those that deal with this on a daily basis. And we are very thankful to have our panelists here. So I do have the opportunity to serve as the vice president of the Potts Foundation. I've been working with the organization for about the last 2 to 3 years. And, I find these to be very insightful, very beneficial. And just again, want to thank you guys for taking the time this evening to spend an hour and just sharing what you do on a daily basis and the information that you have available for those that are looking to move into college and continue their education throughout college. So we're going to go ahead and hand it over to our guest panelists now. So I'm going to ask if Ms. Pamela will go ahead and introduce herself, and then we'll have Mr. Greg introduce himself after that.
Thank you so much, Dominique. It's good to be a part of this session again. I look forward to it each year. I'm Pamela Woodruff. I bring you greetings from Calhoun Community College, where I serve in the area of academic, also known as institutional scholarships. And when I'm not doing that, I serve out in the community, going out to the local high schools, assisting with the FAFSA application, doing any type of presentations, attending college fairs, things of that nature, any type of speaking engagements that we have on behalf of the Office of Student Financial Services, out doing that in the college and out in the community. So I'm glad to be a part tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Greg Province. I've been in financial aid for 15 years now, going on 15, this June will be 15. So yeah, I hold many hats as you do in financial aid. There's no really one straight and narrow path when you reach financial aid and when you have a career in financial aid. You handle all kinds of things. Yeah, I do as well, Ms. Woodruff. I go off and I go to local high schools. I work in the community, helping people with FAFSAs, helping students, helping parents navigate the FAFSA, which it does tweak every year. They try to make it easier. They try to do something, I wouldn't say weird, but something where it tweaks and they make it just a little bit more confusing, but not too bad. But and I help the community with that. And then and like I said, I wear many hats in the office. Customer service is one of my major ones. The other ones are financial analysts and to cleaning up the office, whatever you want me to do. But yeah, I've seen some stuff. I've gone through some stuff with financial aid. I've heard a lot of questions, gotten a lot of questions. Nothing's out of bounds when it comes to financial aid. There truly is not a weird question in financial aid. There truly isn't. Financial aid digs into your personal life, and that's something that is uncomfortable. But once again, it's not really the financial aid; it's really the federal government wanting to know what's going on. So, but I will hand it back to Dominique, and we will get started.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for letting us know a little bit about yourselves and what you do on a day-to-day basis. And like you said, we'll go ahead and jump right into it. So this question, we're just going to go ahead and throw some questions out there. Either one of you guys can answer first or piggyback off of one another. We just want to kind of have an open dialogue here. And really just kind of, if I was a novice and wanted to know what a FAFSA was, how would you guys, want to go ahead and explain that out to someone?
I can go. I, you know, being in the front, being on the front line. I don't know about Ms. Woodruff, but being on the front line like I am, I do financial analyst and I work in the front office. Like I work in the lobby, and I hear everything from A to Z. I have questions that go, "What is a FAFSA?" Like right now, I had, "Where does FAFSA start?" and "What is a FAFSA?" to all the way through, how's my money going to be distributed? How on the tail end of it, how's my money going to be distributed? How do I make payments when I'm done with the semester or done with college? Either way. So I go from A to Z. I mean, we do have questions from A to Z. And what I would say, the FAFSA, free application for federal student aid. It's the main word is free. You're not going to pay. I did have a situation where a young lady, she was a parent, she was a young parent, and she paid $150 for the FAFSA to be done. And it included a scholarship search, which that scholarship search was somebody behind the scenes Googling scholarships that she could have done at home or her student could have done at home. So she paid $150 for that.
Oh, wow.
Amazing. And I didn't have the heart to tell her. So I just went along with, she finally asked me, did I really have to pay 100? No, you didn't. You didn't. But, and I'm sorry, but yeah, the free application for federal student aid. So it's free. There's twists and turns, like I was saying in my introduction, there's twists and turns. The reason why there's twists and turns, the moment we get accustomed to it, the federal government wants to tweak it. And the federal government is trying to make it easier. They're trying to make it more accessible. They're trying to make it more user friendly, I guess, for my generation and older generation parents that are getting their kids into school, or maybe the parent didn't use financial aid when they went to college and they're totally new to the process. Who knows? I've seen it all. So it is it can be scary and it can be intimidating, I guess. Not really scary, but intimidating. But that's what me and Ms. Woodruff are here for. We are here for the twists and turns, and it involves taxes and all kinds of stuff. So I'll let Ms. Woodruff say a whole bunch. I'll let her take over too as well if you want to.
You're correct in everything that you said, Mr. Province. Also, I would add to that, it's the application to see what type of financial aid you may qualify for, be it Pell Grants, be it student loans. Many times it's also prerequisite for scholarships. If you're wanting to get any type of scholarships, you're going to need to do that FAFSA. Per the governor of Alabama, Kay Ivey, past couple of years, it has been mandatory for high school seniors to do the FAFSA application for graduation purposes. Now, with that and everything, there's a caveat. There's an exception to the rule. Some students can get what's called like an opt-out form if they don't want to do the FAFSA. But we've seen, for the most part, the majority of high school seniors have been doing the FAFSA, which is good because oftentimes they feel like they won't qualify for anything. And as a result of that, they find out they really do qualify for something. So we encourage them to do the FAFSA to see what they may qualify for regarding financial aid.
Great point,
Awesome.
Ms. Woodruff. Great point.
And so as a student is, getting the information and prepared to complete this FAFSA, what information should they readily have available? What information do they need from their parents? I know, Mr. Province, you mentioned taxes. So what all information should one have, readily available at their desk? I'm going to go fill out my FAFSA. Today is the day I'm going to get it done. What do I need to have in hand?
Well, I put it as, I would say, I would put it as, and I would relate it to starting a project at your house. You want the right tools. You want the right tools to start the project. So if I'm going to go with my son and go, hey, we're going to do the FAFSA, you're going to get ready for college, let's go. I'm going to have my W-2s, right in front of me. I'm going to have the first 2 pages of my 1040. And I'm going to have possibly, if my son worked and he made enough to file on his own, I'm going to have his W-2. I'm going to have his first 2 pages of the 1040. And then we're going to map out like what he wants his FSA ID and the FSA password to be. Write that down right now. I'm going to write mine down. And then once we have all that information available, we're going to start and go ahead and move forward and get on the internet and go to studentaid.gov. That's where it all starts, studentaid.gov. And I want Ms. Woodruff to come in too, because I want her input, because I always miss something. So I definitely want Ms. Woodruff's input too as well.
Oh, that's good information. And just to add to that, when you go to the studentaid.gov, there are currently 2 FAFSA applications that are up. And so a lot of times that's where the confusion can come in. You'll see the 22-23 and the 23-24, and students are not sure which FAFSA application that they need to do. And it depends on if you're starting in the summer or in the fall. Most of our students are starting in the fall, so they'll need to do that 23-24. And a little reminder or a little key we tell students so that you'll know what tax information to use or income documents. When you look at the 23-24 FAFSA application, you look at 23 first, you go back 2 years because they have what's called prior. So 23, you're going to need your 21 income documents. I know that seems kind of crazy, but they came up with this a couple of years ago. So, well, no, it actually was back in 2015, 2014, I think, so that the taxes would be done. And so pretty much that students would be ready. It's called prior. If you're doing the 22-23 FAFSA application, if you look at 2022, go back 2 years, you would need your 2020 income documents. And like you said, also to have that when you're setting up your username and password, each parent and student will want to have also their individual, you can't cross your emails together. A lot of times the parents will use their email in there and kind of get that messed up. It can be chaotic. You use your own email address, to set that up, and then have those income documents there to get everything done as well, so that you can flow with the FAFSA application. If you don't have taxes, we hear a lot of times people don't have taxes. So they're like, well, what income do I use? Maybe you had, other income, whatever your income was, be it Social Security, be it child support, whatever that income entail, you want to have those documents with you as well when you're getting ready to do that FAFSA application.
One quick thing too, I'll ask you both, what about those students who would use their school email addresses? So if they're in high school and they use their school email address to fill out their FAFSA application.
Yes, I see that a lot too. If those expire with graduation, yes, definitely use Gmail, definitely use something personal. We also see parents using emails that maybe they don't check all the time. Maybe they don't check, but maybe once a month, or maybe they don't, and I get behind it. I know why they do that, and that's fine. But since this is what I recommend, since this is an ongoing process, which for the next 4 years, I would use a highly trafficked email address that you use, that you have on your phone, or that you have readily, that you can speak, that you can talk, or that you can readily address it. Because stuff comes in from the federal government, stuff comes in from the school periodically. And this is a fluid situation. What I mean by that is the next 4 years, it's going to be moving the next 4 years. You've got to do a FAFSA every year. So, I would have the most trafficked email that both your parents and you use, your most preferred email.
Mhm. Awesome. Thank you. And thank you, Kiara, for bringing up that good point too, in regards to that email address, because that's the email that they use now. So they won't see anything wrong with inputting that on a FAFSA. So valid, really, really good question there. So I heard us mention that both parent and student will have their own login information and password. So they need to keep note of that. We need to make sure that we're paying attention to the email address, that we're using a good, accurate, up-to-date email that we're going to be checking frequently, and that FAFSAs are not just done once, not when we're entering school. We're going to continue to do this every year before the beginning of the school year. So since we do have to continue to do this, what are the deadlines? When should we go about applying for our FAFSA?
Right now, currently it's October, and Miss Woodruff knows what I'm talking about. Currently, right now, it's October, but we just found out from another conference that my director, Mr. Bird, he let us know that it is more than likely, possibly, or just more than likely, maybe like 99.9% right now, going back to January. But right now it's October, so it's October of every year. October 1st, it opens up. Get everything ready. Like I said, you're starting a project, so get everything ready. Another key thing about parents filling out the FAFSA, that is fantastic. I love it. I wish, I love the parents filling it out, but your goal is to have the parent and the student fill it out together. The reason why I say that is because there's a couple of reasons. Because it gets the student familiar with the FAFSA, so they feel more comfortable maybe doing it on their own, especially if they're an out-of-state student. Maybe they can take care of it on their own at the school the second year. Second, you get so engrossed, and some of the parents get so engrossed in answering the questions. When they start looking at the questions, they'll start answering it like it's them. Like, do you have children that you support? Yes. Well, no, that's the student. No. The student didn't have any students. The student didn't have any kids they support. So it totally changes. It totally changes the way the FAFSA is going to go. So that's two reasons why I would want the student and the parent to actually fill out the FAFSA together. Ms. Woodruff, do you have any kind of input? Because you're very detailed, and I love it. You are so detailed right now.
Oh, I was gonna say that very soon. I applaud you for saying that. It's so important to have the student be a part of the whole process and not do it all for them. So I applaud you for mentioning that, because at some point they may have to do it on their own. And the only other thing I would mention, and you know this very well, the family composition and dynamic has changed. So not all the time is it the parent and the child. You may have grandparents in there, sisters and brothers. And so we see this in the financial aid world. And so you can still file that FAFSA, but you may have to get what's called a dependency override. The financial aid director may have to make a judgment call or a decision call on that FAFSA, because there's so many different family dynamics now that we see when we're out and about in the field. You know that, Mr. Province. And so we don't want you to be discouraged and think that you still can't go to college and that you can't do your FAFSA, maybe because you don't have your mom and dad there, or you have step parents. You still have to use the household income. But whatever your family dynamic is, you can still do that FAFSA. And then, the financial aid director can make a call, or your processors or advisors can help you with what all you may need to submit to get the FAFSA done, but you can still do that.
Awesome. Well, that's really good info to know that, just because you missed that information, you can still reach out. There's still resources to potentially try and help you in those areas. And so does each college or university have its own deadline for financial aid?
That is a great question, Dominique. And yes, they do. A lot of schools. I know A&M. We have our. We don't necessarily have a deadline. I don't know. We've never really said no. You can't do a FAFSA. You can really, with us, do a FAFSA at any point in time. Like we process those all through the year. It might not be like a student might not need a FAFSA in August, but something may happen in the household or something may have gone wrong or something may have happened in life, which I say life happens, that they need a FAFSA somewhere in October or November. So they might we might process their FAFSA in October or November because they need it for either next semester or they need to cover an unexpected expense for the current semester. So no, we don't really have a deadline for those. I know that some schools do. I know that some schools do have deadlines. It might be a big school. It might be 25,000 student school that might have a deadline. Just maybe for scholarship purposes or maybe additional aid purposes. I'm not really sure. But I know that we don't necessarily have a deadline for us. I'm not really sure about Calhoun.
The same with us. We don't really have a deadline. I think per the Department of Ed or on that studentaid.gov, some schools may enforce that June 30th, I think, or something like that. But with us, it's year round. You can do your FAFSA at any time. So yeah, it just depends on the college, and the student may want to check with that college to see what their deadlines are. But like he said, a lot of times it's scholarship deadlines that you may need to pay more attention to versus a FAFSA deadline.
Okay, awesome. So we've gone through and we've got our FAFSA completed and submitted, and now we're starting to get the information back. So what can a student or a parent expect to receive in regards to what type of financial aid will they be awarded, such as grants, maybe loans? What does that email look like?
Okay. Well, there's two when you do a FAFSA, two reports. They're different names, but they're the same report. The one is called a SAR, the Student Aid Report. The other one is called it's an ICER. It's the Institutional Aid Report. So the Institutional Aid Report will come to me and Ms. Woodruff. Me and Ms. Woodruff will get the ICER. The student will get the Student Aid Report mailed to them at their house. They reference the address that was put on the FAFSA. So when they want to look at the SAR, they want to look at what they call, which this number is going away too. I think this number is going away too. Haven't gotten a lot of detail on it, but it's called an EFC, Expected Family Contribution. This is a mile-long equation that the federal government created to create kind of what you are looking at for Pell-wise. The lower the EFC, the more Pell. The higher the EFC, the lower the Pell. So when you look at your SAR and you want to review it and you look at what they call the EFC, if it's 6,000, maybe 5,000, if it's right around 5,300, you're still looking at some Pell Grant, maybe. I'm not really sure what the cutoff is. Right around 6,000 is probably the cutoff of no Pell Grant. That the equation has people in the household, income coming into the household. Those are the two main factors in that equation. Also, when they want to look at the SAR, they want to look at loans. I get this question a lot. What does a loan mean, or is that something we have to pay back? Yes, it is. Anything with loan behind it, you're going to be paying it back. You're going to be paying that plus the interest. Direct direct loans are what they have, are what the federal government uses right now. That stands for there's no it's direct lending. The federal government is directly lending to the student. So, and they use the private lenders as servicers. So let's say you get in, you look at your SAR and you want to take out a direct subsidized loan, which subsidized loan is different than an unsubsidized loan. These loans are student loans. They're automatically, you don't have to do a credit check or anything like that. The student automatically qualifies for those when they fill out the FAFSA. A subsidized loan, you are not accumulating interest while you're in school. While you're at least half-time enrolled in school, summer, fall, spring, you are not accumulating interest. As soon as you leave school, maybe 6 months after you leave school, the accumulation starts. A direct unsubsidized loan, you are accumulating interest while you're in school. And if you choose to defer the accumulation, think of it as bricks on a building. They're just going to keep on stacking. The interest is going to keep on stacking until you build a large building. But that's the way those two work. But let's just say I wanted to use my Pell Grant, my direct subsidized loan. Okay, you can do that. I say to every student, please get with your parents to see what is the best route for you guys. See what is the best scenario for you. You don't necessarily have to use both. You don't necessarily have to use no loans at all. You might want to do just Pell Grant and then do a payment plan. It's whatever you want to do. It's however you are set up and how your parents want to, I guess, finalize your education or pay for your education. There is a direct parent plus loan, but I'm gonna let Ms. Woodruff go into more detail on that too, if that's okay.
Absolutely. Everything was well stated. Good job on that. And so, yeah, there are what we call parent plus loans. A lot of times students still don't have enough money. Especially you see that more so maybe with your four-year institutions. And that's a loan that the parent pretty much can take out to bridge the gap if there's any other monies needed for the student there. That one is, correct me if I'm wrong, credit-based. You still get money either way. You get a determined amount. If your credit is not so good, I think it's a flat, used to be 4,000. I'm not for sure if that's still the same amount. And then if credit is good, more monies are given there. But that is a loan that the parent can look out to take out on the student's behalf. And beyond that, if you're not looking at Pell Grants, and if you don't want to take out student loans, you can look at scholarships. You can look at payment plan options, and maybe you have some of the savings plans, hopefully, and maybe offset some of those costs and maybe not have to take out loans. But you did a good job of covering those student loans and the difference in the subsidized and the unsubsidized and what that all entails. So yeah.
And when we're talking,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
When we're talking about the loans, since we know we have to pay those back, those are not going to be the grants or the scholarships. And I think last time we had this, Ms. Woodruff, we discussed a lot around repayment, refinancing options. Can you go into a little bit of detail in regards to that as well? You're on mute.
Let's see, as far as repaying those back, like Mr. Province said, anytime, if you're out of school for at least 6 months, and you're less than part-time, it is, the Department of Ed will begin to contact you, and it's time to begin to pay those back. And they have different repayment plans. And you can look at whatever type of repayment plan. They'll contact you and discuss those payment options with you to see what type of plan you want to look at. Don't remember all the specific plans Mr. Province may want to jump in on that. The loans are not my forte, but I know they have the standard repayment, they have the income based and the different ones that they can discuss with you about which plan you want to look at as far as paying those back. The main thing I would stress before he does jump in is they are there to help you. Don't avoid speaking with them. If you get in a situation where you're just not ready to pay those back yet, they are there to help you. Contact your lender, see what type of options that you have so that you don't go into a default mode. You want to make sure you contact them and they will work with you to get those to where whenever you're ready to pay those. Because sometimes if you're not ready, you can get those into a deferment or something like that and get more time when you're ready to pay those. But I'll let him jump in. So not my forte. I know a little bit of enough to be dangerous probably, but go ahead and jump in on that and add more to that for me, please.
Sure. Yeah, what it is when you are ready to graduate or you're ready to leave or your life happens moment, and you have to take away and you have to get away from education for a minute. The lenders are there, the servicers and lenders are there. Like Ms. Woodruff said, don't dodge. It's not your typical bill payment, like bill collector type stuff. They're there to say, hey, we're here to help you. We're here to just tell us the situation. Tell us what situation you're in. Do you have a job if you're laid off, or do you need to get in, like whatever income you're coming in, can you make small payments like $25 a month? It's whatever you want to do. Can you just cover interest? They'll do a lot of things for you. You'll want to communicate with them more and more and more because the repercussions of you not communicating with them, they'll eventually find you. They will. I've heard of stories. People call me up. People call up the office all the time and say, is it, I just got my tax return garnished from the federal government. What does that mean? I was like, well, it means that they couldn't get in touch with you and they need the payment and they don't know what's going on. They don't know why you're not making payments. So they've got to get the payment somehow. That's kind of like the darker side. But it does happen. It doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. So you want to be regular in communication with them. They want to know your situation without getting too deep, and they just want to help you out as much as possible. Now, when you graduate or when you leave, there's a thing called exit counseling that A&M or I guess financial aid officers are mandated to give to you once you want to drop your classes or just not come back or leave or graduate. There's exit counseling. Exit counseling, at the end of exit counseling, they will go over all your options. You can read about what best fits you. So if a standard fits you, I typically think when I help a student with exit counseling, when they look at me for advice, I look at them and go, okay, so you're in $10,000 worth of debt, which is not bad for 4 or 5 years. It's not bad. So I would say standard would be good for you. Standard, especially if you have a job waiting for you and you're just ready to go, standard would be a good practice. If you don't have a job and you're in $30,000 worth of debt, then maybe income based. Whatever income you're getting, if you're doing a side job and you're getting very low income, you can make maybe small payments per, and maybe that would be the best way to go. There's the scenario is case by case basis, and it all depends on what scenario you're in. I had a student. He was going to the NFL. He had signed a contract. He was doing exit counseling. He was leaving. And he just, they were wanting his future income. And I said, you know what? You just signed a contract. You just got the signing bonus. You're going to pay this off. So don't worry. Just put whatever you want to put on there. And just my advice to you, take some of that signing bonus money and just pay it off. Pay whatever you had off. I think it was close to like 8,000 or 9,000. So he paid that off with a signing bonus. So, it all depends on what the situation you're in. And that really helped him out because he didn't want to put his actual signing bonus on there. So, and I don't blame him, but it is what it is. Just put anything on there because you're just gonna pay it all right off anyway. So it all depends on what situation you're in, and it all depends on what income you have coming in.
Okay, awesome. And I just want to make sure that I hit this question that was asked in the chat. So it says, what if a parent is denied for the Parent Plus loan? What can students do then?
Okay, that's a great question. Miss Woodruff, she went through this, and when she went through the Parent Plus loan, she went through this, and I'm going to piggyback on what she said. The Parent Plus loan is completely designed to take care of what the student aid, which is direct subsidized, direct unsubsidized, and Pell Grant, do not take care of. So if you're subsidized and unsubsidized and Pell Grant, if it takes care of everything except maybe $3,000, that's what of the bill. That's what Parent Plus loan is there to do. It's there to cover that bill. Now it can cover 3,000. You can design the bill. You can design it. If you get accepted for it, my advice is to get accepted for the maximum. Now, let me elaborate on that. I don't necessarily want you taking the max amount out, but it allows us to navigate through that one credit check. Let's just say you went and you're eligible for 13,000 and you put, I only want 5, but you need more later on down. Well, you'll need to do another credit check, and that's just another hit on your credit. Well, if you do max amount, you told me, okay, I'll look at it from the Department of Education. I look at the application and it says you did the max amount. Well, that one credit check, under that one credit check, if you're eligible for 20,000, I can go down to 8 or 9, or I can go down to 2. It's whatever you need off that one credit check. That's a very key point, because if you keep on choosing certain amounts, you're going to keep on doing credit checks, and that's going to keep on doing hits on your credit. Something you just don't need. Do the max amount so we can suit the loan for you. I guess what I'm trying to say is. With that being said, also on the flip side, if you get denied, you get additional money. It's in unsubsidized loan category, but it is additional money. Right now, freshmen and sophomores get 4,000. Juniors and seniors get 5,000. That's on top of the 2,000 that each of them get. So you're looking at 6,000 if you get denied. If you're a freshman or sophomore, you're looking at 7,000 if you're a junior or senior. Okay. If your parents get denied. So don't give up hope if you get denied. I've seen it come out where somebody got a refund because they didn't know about the Parent Plus loan, and their parents got denied and they almost withdrew. Well, they didn't know about the additional money, and it ended up being a great idea because they've got a refund and they actually got books for next semester. So there's so many twists and turns through financial aid, and there's so many things that we can do within the parameters of financial aid. Please visit your financial aid office and just see what's available out there, even with additional aid. There's other additional programs out there that when you fill out the FAFSA, there's additional grants. The FSCOG grant. There's other grants out there with the FAFSA. There's work study. It's a great program. There's just things that we can do for you. And the worst thing you're going to hear is no. The best thing you're going to hear is, yeah, we've got something. Hold on, let me see what we can do for you. So please please just keep in touch with the financial aid office too.
Awesome. And so we've a little bit or a lot of it about loans. But we definitely want to also keep in mind scholarships are available as
Mm,
well too. And so what are some of the best avenues that you guys are aware of that students can look for scholarships? The Potts
sure.
Foundation has scholarship too, so this is
Nice.
one. But
Great.
what other avenues would you guys recommend for students
Okay.
to search for scholarships?
Um, the best scholarship that I know of right now, that I see the most out of my office, is the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship. If you're not familiar with Thurgood Marshall, please do yourself a favor and get familiar with this organization, because there is Thurgood Marshall designed this so great. I want to shake the man's hand. What he did was, it's a foundation where it solely exists to get people in college and fund and help them fund it. That's the sole existence. Now, what he did was he attracted Fortune 500 companies to flush money through that organization, where people can go and fill out a simple application and give them their stats and say, hey, I need this money for this, or I need this money for that. I need, books, or I need help with tuition, or I need help with this. Gucci, Boeing, if you Apple, if you name a Fortune 500 company, Facebook, Meta, if you name a 500 Fortune 500 company right now, they're flushing money through that organization to help people go to college. And
Awesome.
I'm not seeing $2,000 checks. I'm not seeing $3,000 checks. I'm seeing $10,000 checks.
Mm.
Matter of fact, I talked to an individual today. She calls up and she goes, hey, my Thurgood Marshall is sending y'all $10,000 for my fall semester, because I was at Disney doing an internship. And I said, great, that's going to take care of her whole entire balance for the rest of it for fall. So all she
Wow.
had to do was Pell Grant and that. Also, one, I had a colleague. He was a colleague at the time when me and him were in college together. I did my MBA. I got my MBA at A&M as well, and they gave him a free summer. Thurgood Marshall. I told him about it, and I said it was a shot in the dark since you're a graduate student. He got $10,000 to go to summer from Thurgood
Wow.
Marshall. That's
Wow.
huge. Yes, that's a big wow, because you don't. It's a diamond in the rough when you find somebody that'll pay for a summer when you're in grad school.
Right.
Wow is big. He just tossed me the check when we were in class and said, cancel my loans and just let this pay for my summer.
That's
Okay,
amazing.
sounds good. So, and also I want to reach out to the academic scholars of this group right now.
Hmm.
I know that everybody's goal is to get an academic scholarship. That's the gold medal. You're done. You just wrapped up a great academic scholarship, and I am proud of you. I will shake your hand. I will give you a hug if you're a hugger. But that's fantastic. But what I want to tell you is, don't stop there. Please don't. You can make your own full ride. If that college says you're good enough, we can cover your tuition. That's good. That's all we can do. We're maxed out. You can make your own full ride. I see it 10. I at least count 10 students that make their own full ride each semester. Thurgood Marshall is a major contribution to the full ride.
Hmm.
We might cover somebody's tuition, which is around 8,000 right now if you're out of state, 4,000 if you're in state. But if you have a Thurgood Marshall on top of that, a $10,000 Thurgood Marshall, that covers your housing. That's
Hmm.
going to cover fees.
Hmm.
That's a full ride. You're not even dipping into your loans, most importantly, but you're not even dipping into financial aid.
Hmm.
So you can make your own full ride. I say that to everybody. Don't stop at academic scholarships. Don't stop at academic scholarships.
Awesome.
Please do.
And Ms. Woodruff, with Calhoun,
Yeah.
if someone is looking to attend, and thank you, sir, that was all great information,
Yeah.
especially
Yes,
about
ma'am.
great
Yes.
info
Yes.
there. I'm
Absolutely.
sorry.
Yes.
But my mind just went here when someone's looking at going or attending in a community college as well too.
Right.
Should
Right.
they also be looking for scholarships, even if they're
Absolutely.
not attending a 4-year?
Absolutely. That's my area. That's what I promote. That's what makes me tick. But yeah, and you can start with your college. You can look at your college and see what types of scholarships that college has to offer. And like Mr. Province was saying, not necessarily your academic, and we do offer academic scholarships, but we have what's also called foundation scholarships, which is monies that's given by donors. And so it's not geared towards the student that maybe has the 4.0 and the ACT score that's a 30. They don't look at those things. And oftentimes I see students receive more foundation scholarships than academic. So you have those there, you can look at, and we have so many others with our athletics and esports and bookstore scholarships, and we're adding more scholarships that's coming up fall. And then you can go beyond that, and you can look at your community. You can look at your Redstone, and if your place of employment offers, students are working at Chick-fil-A or McDonald's, places like that, and then where your parents work. I have 2 children, and my daughter's father worked for Nucor, and she got scholarship money each year when she was at UAB that went towards her college. So those are other avenues that you can look at in the community, the Civitan clubs and things of that nature. So, you can look at that. Fastweb.com is still a good one to go check out. My Scoli is a good one. So you can definitely look for those scholarship opportunities. And this is another plug I would say as well, for the students to be a part of that, and not for the moms and the dads to necessarily go do all the work. Make sure that those students are active participants in that. I know it can be overwhelming, but if you set aside a little time each day to go and look for those, I think you would find it more rewarding and more beneficial versus the parents doing all the work with that.
Right, definitely. And also, what about grants with community college? Is that something that is available as well?
Absolutely. We have the federal Pell Grants as well. So when they do that FAFSA application, it will let them know if they qualify for any Pell Grants and or student loans. And it is a prerequisite for our scholarships as well. So all those things could stack. And then, you might be looking good and have your college paid for. So yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. And so I know it was mentioned previously about work study jobs. Now, how would one, they have just a small bit that they need to cover, and they're like, I'm not taking out student loans, but hopefully there's another option, and work study is an option here for me. So do they go just to financial aid? Who would they, kind of, they want to get more information about that? Who would they go talk to about that?
It all depends on the college. Every college, every financial aid office that I've walked in has a representative that is over the work study program. Ours is our supervisor. She is great. Beverly Bradley is awesome. She is one of the best. But you would contact her, and you would, I'm interested in work study. We would see if you qualify for it. Qualifying for it usually means that there's some need that you have, that the FAFSA hasn't fulfilled, or that there's something that out there that you have some needs still that the FAFSA didn't cover. So we can give you the money when an individual is awarded work study funds. This is what I explain it to the kids like this, or I explain it to the students like this. Think of that as your salary. Think about that as that's your pot of money. So when you work, you're eating away at that eligibility or salary. that's what you're going to get paid. So if you get if you get awarded $3,000 in work study, that's $3,000 you have for that semester, and you're working and you're eating up that away. So you get a paycheck for $200. That's $200 out of the 3,000. So that's picture that as your salary. That goes in the pocket. They choose, if they choose to pay their bill with that, they choose to pay their bill. If they choose to pay rent with that, they can choose to pay their rent. If they can choose to pay their books with that, they can choose to pay their books. So that's usually how it works. Usually they get, it all depends on how much they, it all really depends on how much they earn, but they could have a W-2 at the end of that too as well. The reason why I like work study, to me, it's a win-win, especially if you're a freshman and you do work study all the way through. You have a resume, you have work experience, you have working with the public, you have working with possibly your major if you found a job in your major on campus, and most importantly is the experience that you have that you put on a resume, and you can start looking for internships or start looking for jobs when you graduate, and you can put down 2 or 3 people as references out of that work study job. That's why I call it a win-win.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And I want to make sure that I kind of address the question that has
Sure.
come up in the chat, which is a really good question. What if the parents are divorced and don't want to exchange income information that's needed for the FAFSA?
So we run into this a lot, going back to that family dynamic. So,
yeah.
and that's a great question because we see this all the time. So if the parents are divorced, then the student can go with the parent that they live with the most throughout that year. So if they live with the mom, the majority of the year, they would go with the mom's income. And if the mother now is remarried, you're looking at household income. So that would be the household income. They would go with that parent's income information. They wouldn't have to use the dad's information because they are with them. The parents are divorced and the student was living with the mother, the majority of the year. And then they can go with that mom's information and use that information for FAFSA purposes. Yeah.
Okay. Good info. And then it also looks like one of our board members, for anyone else that's on the Zoom here, has one of our board members, Michael, has dropped a link in there for scholarships as well. So anyone can take note of that for potential scholarships. And just kind of as we're closing things out, I think the conversation is being had more frequently around student loans and taking them out, and is it really worth it and all that. Have you guys seen a decrease in the amount of student loans that have been taken out, or the instead of people taking out those large amounts to get refund checks, now they're getting the exact amount that they need? Have you guys seen a decrease in that, or what would you say is even the average student loan debt that one leaves college with?
That is a great question. And the way I see it is it goes back to the scenario, whatever scenario that you're in, whatever, how your parents are funding your education. My undergrad, I graduated with 40. After 4.5 years, I graduated with $40,000 worth of college loan debt. Right now, that's about that. Right now, that's about what you're at an average, no scholarship type student. That's I didn't get like big refunds or anything like that either. But what the federal government has caught up to regarding the refunds that I noticed, and I came into financial aid, into this world of financial aid in 2008, and that's when they started really. The federal government really started encouraging, I guess, colleges and other institutions to really start looking at financial aid and the bills and maxing out the financial aid toward the expenses. So in 2008, I really saw a real turn from
Mhm.
this institutions not really increasing or raising the cost. That the inflation, the economy does that, but
Mhm.
really wanting to max out, letting the student know that they're going to have to max out or really just kind of use as much resources as they can to really get
Mhm.
done, to really get paid, to really pay for the bill. Um, 80s and 90s, the financial aid took care of it. It was not even a second thought, even took care of books. Right now, no. Right now,
Mhm.
the universities and colleges, like I said, are letting students know that they're going to have to really use all their resources completely with financial aid and with the federal government to actually just handle the bill, just handle
Wow.
the tuition and fees and housing.
Wow.
So it's very, very important for the future generation to really, really maximize resources, as in
Mhm.
maximize any money that you're getting out of college. To to use a street term, it turns into a hustle when you're a senior in high school. Got to get the money.
Yeah.
Turns into a hustle. Turns into a hustle. Hey, church. Hey, how you doing? Or hey,
I love it. I love it.
hey, hey, Mr. Lawyer, how you doing? Looking at you watch me grow up. You got any money for my books? I mean, it turns into a hustle, and that's using street language. And I understand we're in a professional environment right now, and I'm sorry,
It
but
is what it
I
is.
tell the students, and the students relate to it.
Yeah.
They go, "Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah, I get it. I get what
Mhm.
you're saying."
Yeah. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And I think the financial literacy piece has been a great component now, teaching
Mhm.
students what it's all about. The entrance loan counseling, the exit loan counseling has been that good piece. And the original, concept of financial aid wasn't really to pay for everything. It was really to support what you already had and maybe
Mhm.
to add that piece in there. That was the original thought process, more so than financial aid taking care of everything. So I think we're coming back to that, because I too started in 2008. That's interesting, in
Okay.
financial aid. And so we have seen that evolve into not just, oh, this free ride and spending all this money and going shopping and blowing it, more coming back around to let's be aware of what we're doing. Let's teach you about being financially literate, so that you're
Mhm.
aware of what's what, and maybe not have so much student loan debt, when you're coming out, as we did back in the day when we didn't know any better and we were crazy.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you both for your input. We definitely want to kind of wrap up this session here. We definitely want to keep it at that hour mark. We've a little over, but we started a little late. So we want to be mindful of time, and thank you guys so much for sharing all of this very, very insightful information. A lot of people just don't know. They're starting off their college careers and they're embarking on a new journey, and they just know they want to go to school. They don't know how they're going to go to school. But it's very, very necessary for us to be able to provide this type of information, have this type of dialogue, and really, especially those that deal with it on a day-to-day basis. And so we would love, I know we have your contact information of who you are and the schools you work with. So you may receive an email from
Right.
someone that's inquiring for, they just may have some one-on-one questions. So I hope that you are comfortable with that. But we definitely want to thank you, and we appreciate you taking the time out to chat with us. And I'm super, super excited to announce that the Potts Foundation did just award a a scholarship of $3,000. So we were super
Great.
excited to be able to do
Nice.
that for a young senior. So, we are definitely trying to help change, from taking out those student loans. Let's go scholarships, and helping the hustle out a little bit of
Yes. Yes.
awarding those out to
So much
students.
money
So
on the table.
yes, so much money on the table, legit. So
Yes.
we definitely want to help out in any way that we can. So again, Thank you both for your time, for your expertise, for sharing all of this information and spending this evening with us. We definitely do appreciate you.
Hey,
Yeah,
Dom.
I loved it. I can talk about this all night. I could be here all night. I mean, I don't know why, but when I get on this, I get
It's your
I get
passion.
going. It's a
It's your
train.
passion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm a train, and when it gets motivated, I just go.
I
But
love it.
yeah, I appreciate y'all inviting me. I know that Frank kind of had some other obligations, but I had a great time tonight, and I really loved it,
Awesome.
and I really appreciate it. I hope I get invited back.
Yes.
You know, and if y'all get out, if y'all get out and get in touch with Frank and I find out, I'm just gonna probably maybe steal it from him. I don't know.
Awesome. No, we will definitely keep your contact information for sure.
Yes, ma'am. No problem.
I was definitely going to ask too if you guys could tell us one more time how to
Sure.
reach before we drop off.
Yeah.
I'm in Patton Hall, room 211, on A&M's campus. My number is 256-372-4855. And I'm at Gregory.Provence, PROVENCE at AAMU.edu.
Thank you.
And I am, again, Pamela Woodruff at Calhoun Community College. I am at the Decatur campus, Chastain Student Center on the second floor. My email, pamela.woodruff@calhoun.edu. Phone number is 256-306-2689. I had a ball. Thank you for inviting me. Congratulations on everything that you guys are doing.
Yes.
Much success to future endeavors. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you guys again. So thank you. This will conclude our Educate and Elevate workshop, focusing on FAFSA, financial aid, scholarships. We will be taking our summer break now, and we'll be back in the fall to have these type of conversations again. So we may see these lovely individuals again in the fall. But again, thank you so much for your time, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. Have a good day. Y'all be careful.
Thank